Good morning, everybody. We are starting the day off. Want to go ahead and grab coffee, grab water, do what you got to do so that we can get started. I'm just going to take a minute so that I can make sure that everything is posted to the appropriate places. If you would go ahead and say good morning for me. That way I know exactly who is here with me and what our focus is on today. Today, we are going to be talking about winning your morning, win your day. This is something that has come up quite a few times, and I think it's always a great refresher. So, looking at those activities that are going on in your world and really understanding what the power of your morning has for you. There's a lot of people that are on here. Many of the viewers that are here are either solopreneurs, they're entrepreneurs, they are intrapreneurs, they have multiple businesses, business driven, or just in general people who are looking for optimizing their routines. They're looking about seeing their own potential realized. There's a lot of things that are going on in people's worlds in which a morning routine has such a significant impact on a lot of the things that you're looking for. So again, we're going to give people a moment to join us. Good morning, Janine. J9, I love that you had a wonderful party. Celeste, good morning to you. So good to see you on here, and I'm so glad that you had such a wonderful trip in Canada. I do want to take a moment just for myself. I feel like it is something that I need to do. Which is I am obviously in a little bit of a different background right now. We are traveling and visiting family. And part of that is recently we found out unexpectedly that a woman who was very much an aunt in all of the definitions that you can think of, minus blood. Athena had passed away suddenly, who was someone that was very close to me and someone who had always treated me and everyone that she met with such kindness and joy and pure love. And so, in honoring her is understanding that there's an impact that you make on everybody that you interact with. Oftentimes, you might not even think about the interactions or those few and frequent opportunities to make an impact on others. You absolutely do. And that's part of something that we can take with us and looking at every interaction that we have. So, I want to honor Athena in the ways that I can and mourn and process in the ways that I can. But it's one of those things that it truly is, hug your people, say the things that you want to say, right? All of those things that we talk about, and that it's always a really great reminder that we're here for a finite period of time and it's not always on our terms. So, I want to start with that, and that goes right into being intentional, right? Looking at the way that you are intentional in your days, looking at the way that you're intentional in the conversations you have with others, with your schedule, right? We've been having a lot of conversations over the last few weeks about budget, and we've been talking about finances, and we've been having a lot of different conversations in terms of scheduling and time blocking. And so, when I say win your morning, win your day, and we talk about a morning routine, what is the first thing that you think of? Or quite frankly, go ahead and in the chat box, if you're here with me, go ahead in the chat box and tell me what your routine or what you've done so far, right? It's 8:34 in the morning. What have you done leading up to this call? Go ahead and put that in the chat box for me. That way we can kind of see what is going on. One of the things that often when people think about morning routine, it's, hey, I get up, I got to take the dogs out, I'm going to turn the coffee pot on, I'm going to go to the bathroom, I'm going to get things situated, maybe I jump in the shower, maybe I'm trying to figure out what my clothes situation is for the day. Do I need to iron? Is it already something done? Am I working from home, right? That is very much not necessarily morning routine that we're discussing as more, that is your morning habitual motions, right? These are the things that are required to get you prepared for the day or to get you prepared for public consumption, if you will, right? So it's, I got to make sure I do my hair. so that I don't look frazzled. Oh, I need to make sure that I brush my teeth so I don't offend anybody within a 4-foot radius of me. Right? There are certain things that we do in our morning that is obligatory, if you will. I have to take the dogs out, otherwise they're going to go in the house. I need to do those things so that I can present myself professionally or whatever it might be. So that is where so often our activities are outward facing or external validation, right, if you will. Really, that I'm positioning myself to be received by the universe, or more potently, by other people, right? Conversely, when I'm talking about a morning routine, is what are you doing just for you? We talked about this a few weeks ago, and that kind of that narrative that is you cannot pour into others before you pour into yourself. And that is exactly what we're talking about with this. If you take so much of your time and immediately as soon as you wake up, it's what am I doing for the kids? What am I doing for the dogs? What am I doing for my spouse, partner, significant other? What do I need to do? I need to respond to my emails. I need to look at my Facebook, Instagram notifications. Oh, I got to reply to that person, right? Those are all external obligations or reactions to people outside of ourselves. So what does your morning look like that you do for you? And that is when we talk about winning your morning, win your day. Another element of this that we are aware of is so much of our day, especially if you are either, quite frankly, it doesn't matter, but if you're business to consumer in terms of your interaction. So let's say that you provide products and or services to a paying customer. And actually, we were having a wonderful discussion about this last night in terms of I work with quite a few people that have made their work profession their personality, to the extent of saying that whenever a customer or client reaches out to them, they immediately have to respond. And part of that, if we go a little bit deeper underneath that, part of that is a sense of being needed and a sense of importance, right? Oh, I must respond to this email right now. This person needs me. They couldn't possibly do this thing without me. My team couldn't possibly deliver the same level of customer service that I can, right? And we've heard that kind of language. And so often our afternoons, as everyone else wakes up, that's when the fires are able to happen and more of your day is a reaction. And so when I am proposing is to look at your morning, and sure, it can be patched up. There are always going to be those obligations. Please brush your teeth. Please take your dogs out, right? Please respond to certain things and make sure that your kids are taken care of, or that, whatever is necessary that you need to do for your spouse, partner, significant other. Totally. Please do all of that. But really making sure that you have figured out basically from, let's say, for some of you, it might be 5 a.m. For some of you, it might be 6:30. For some of you, it might be 7. But really, from the time that you wake up until noon, if you are able to build an ideal morning, what does that look like for you? And so there's a few things that we can discuss, things that are always great pointers and things for you to look at. There's a wonderful book if you're looking for structure. And, when I think about structure, I think about jazz music. And so stick with me for a moment, right? Jazz is a wonderful thing. Watching someone do jazz improvisation is another just kind of stroke of genius. You're watching the brain happen in real time. However, one of the great things about jazz and improvisation, which might feel impulsive and off the cuff and, living in that moment, what it is completely grounded in is the foundational chord structures. That individual knows harmony. They know what the actual theme and melody of the piece is, and they know it so well that they can play on a theme and variation and always bring you back to where they need to be in, say, 16 bars or 32 bars. So understanding that's the same thing whenever I'm talking about scripts or I'm talking about a structure and people go, oh, well, Michael, I can't, I don't like that. I have to make it my own. Okay, understandably, but please make sure that you understand the structure first. You try the structure first, and you understand why there are certain things that are there for you. So one of the really great books by Hal Elrod is something that's called The Miracle Morning. You're more than welcome to read it. I think it's a great book, but I'm going to kind of speed up and summarize parts of it. So Hal studied highly effective people. I won't necessarily say successful, but I will say effective people in the worlds of business and sports and politics, and found that there were a lot of things that were in common, things that were continually recurring, even though not everybody had the exact same morning routine. But what he found is that for those people that have been highly effective, again, going back to the very beginning of what I talked about, is that many of you are looking to optimize your day, optimize your performance, see your potential realized, right? And so in order to do that means we have to take an audit of what our activities are and making sure that our activities are in alignment with our goals. Quite frankly, wherever you are in this present moment is an accumulation of things that you've stood for or standards that you let go. And that could be where you are health-wise, where you are wealth-wise, where you are happiness-wise, right? It really is either things that you have taken a stand for or standards that you have let go. And so this is when we talk about being intentional with your morning. It's what are my standards? What are the non-negotiables that have to be a part of my day in order to make sure that I pour into my own cup, right? And so Hal came up with a really great acronym that's very helpful for you to look at, and it's called Life Savers. And so Savers is the acronym. So the first is the S, which is silence. So silence or meditation. This is just an opportunity to gather thoughts, kind of get centered, maybe stretch a little bit, but just kind of sitting with yourself. So before all of the noise outside of our heads, it says that we get about 10,000 digital marketing impressions per day. If you think about all the little tabs on the side of your computer, all the sponsored ads, the things that are on the radio, the things that are on the television, you are seeing billboards, right? All of the things. You're seeing about 10,000 digital marketing ad pieces, impressions every single day. And so when you are a part of this world, as we all are, it's very often that you hear other people's voices more than you hear your own inner voice. And so being able to have that silent and meditation is your opportunity to check in with yourself, right? And that's a deeper topic that's going to take a lot longer than what we have this morning, but really making sure that you're taking some time to do that. If there is a challenge there, because you're the person who's going to sit down, you're going to inhale, you're going to exhale, and you're going to go, I really need to make sure that I send Trisha an email, and then as soon as this thing is done, and you're there for not even 35 seconds before your brain has just rattled off a to-do list that makes you feel spastic and that you just need to get up and run. Then do a guided meditation. I've got some really great guided meditations for you that we can definitely make sure are available. Wonderful people, whether it's through YouTube, absolutely free, that you can take advantage of and just use someone else's voice so that instead of focusing on everything, you can just focus on the guided meditation, right? And so first one, silence, meditation. Second one is affirmations, right? And so a big aspect of affirmations is understanding that we say things to ourselves all the time, and the brain is a computer, right? It's a supercomputer. We've heard people say that. So when I say, I'm going to tell you all, don't think of a dog. Do not think of a dog. Don't think of a dog. What are you doing? Immediately you think of a dog, right? Because the brain doesn't hear the word don't. The brain hears what you said, right? Don't look down. What is someone going to do? They're immediately going to look down because the brain is searching for the word, right? And word association. And so some of you like to say negative affirmations. Oh, Michael, I'm not a morning person. I don't know about you, but I've never met a doctor who delivered a baby and said, yep, you got yourself a night owl. That's never been any way a definition of a human being, right? We have built a narrative that supports that I am not a morning person or I am not a runner, right? That is considered a negative affirmation. I am wanting to make sure that I tell myself that I'm not a runner, I'm not pretty, I'm not liked, whatever it is. There's a lot of negative self-talk that we have that is considered negative affirmations. And so the supercomputer that is our brain seeks out evidence of the things that we tell ourselves. So if I tell myself that everything is horrible, the world is against me, all of these things are just set up for me for failure, I'm going to actively be seeking the evidence that supports that. Conversely, right, if I start my day and say I'm surrounded by abundance and gratitude, then I am going to actively seek evidence of abundance and gratitude. And so there are a ton of affirmations. Again, one of the things that Shantae is going to make available for you is that we have some mindfulness guides for you. There's a good vibes guide that she has worked on that's got a lot of really great tools from this conversation that you'll be able to go in and look at, download absolutely for free, and look at some of these things that you can interact in intertwine into your daily routine. Right? So we have silence, meditation, then we have affirmations, so that's the S and the A of savers. V is visualizations. So visualizations is one of the greatest things that our brain can do. So the thing that makes us one of the most advanced creatures on this planet is the fact that we have recall, so we have memory, and we have emotions associated and tied to memory, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. If you know anybody who suffers from living in the past, right? So we have the ability to recall, and one of the other things that's probably the best thing that we have in terms of ourselves as a species is our ability to imagine, right? To visualize, to cast a vision in the future and then see it realized. And so that is very much what happens. There's a lot of people right now that are projecting certain words, right? The R word of recession, like we talked about last week. There's a lot of people who are like, oh my goodness, the sky is falling. Again, supercomputer is going to look for evidence that says that the sky is falling. Now, I am not saying that you're just going to walk through and frolic through the wildflowers and that nothing ever negative happens. But what I'm saying is it's absolutely an understanding that this is how you're setting up your morning. So my first conversation is, what am I putting into my body? What am I putting into my brain? How am I setting myself up for success? How am I pouring into myself before I pour into others, right? And so am I visualizing a day of chaos and cancellations and everything that goes my way, or am I visualizing a day that's going to be great, right? If you had the opportunity to choose to have a good day or a bad day, which would you choose? If you had the opportunity to choose to be happy or sad, which would you choose? If you had the opportunity to choose to suffer or be free from suffering, which would you choose? And if I told you that you are the only person who has control of that, nothing external has the ability to affect that, then you have to then take ownership of your role in being happy or sad, suffering or not suffering, or having a good day or having a bad day, right? So I'm visualizing maybe what I want my business to look like a year from now. And I'm visualizing that in the present. So I'm bringing that reality into the future. I'm tying those things together. Maybe I'm in a living situation that is not exactly what I want to be in. I'm going to visualize what it looks like when I am in the place that I want to be, right? So again, really making sure that you're taking time for the visualizations and the affirmations. I do want to say also, just be mindful that these things don't have a prescribed time, right? So the silence meditation doesn't have to be 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be, an hour. It doesn't even have to be 10 minutes. It could be 2 minutes. It could be 5 minutes. Your affirmations could take less than 2 minutes. I'm alive, excited, and full of energy, right? I am surrounded in abundance and gratitude, right? Many of your old favorites are, I am a great salesperson, right? It doesn't matter what the affirmation is, as long as it's something that you want to validate and that you want your brain as the supercomputer to seek evidence that supports it, right? So we have our silence meditation, we have our affirmations, we have our visualizations, as we talked about. Then we have our exercise, so S-A-V-E, exercise. And so exercise can look like morning salutations, right? Every time I say that word, I just think of Robin Williams as the genie saying morning salutations, right? But morning salutations, this is, the downward dog. This is child pose. These are the light and easy. There's about 8 to 10 poses that you can do just to stretch the body, to get blood flowing, to do some of those things to really start to make that connection of yourself to your body. Hearing your body, where am I tight? Maybe I need a little bit more water, right? I'm feeling pretty mucusy, and looking back, yep, we've had a lot of dairy in the last couple of days, right? I'm checking in with myself. That could be the exercise. The exercise could be taking Brady for a walk, right? Going and taking your dog for a walk, just walking in the neighborhood, going down to the water at sunrise, right? Doing things to get your body moving, right? And your metabolism going. It could also be going to the gym, right? Or going to spin or doing something high intensity. It doesn't matter. The idea is that we're making that connection of mind body, right? So warming up the body, checking in with the body, making sure that we're there. Then we have reading. Also, these do not have to go in this particular order. It just, this had to be the order in order for him to make a word, right? So that it would be a fun acronym that you remember. So you can do this at any time on whatever these things look like. So reading, what am I reading? Am I putting on the news first thing in the morning before I even think, right? I turn on the television, there's the news. I turn on the coffee pot, and immediately before I even had my own thought of myself, I am told about a shooting that has happened, or I'm told about a car chase that has happened, or I'm told about a apartment building that has caught on fire, or I'm told about the January 6th trials, or whatever it is. I'm already starting my mindset because I've put that in before I've put anything else in to combat that. So reading, and I know some of you aren't readers, this could be audible. I like to think of reading as just, what content am I pouring into myself? Could be reading, could be a YouTube motivational video, it could be a TED Talk, could be audible, right? I just want good information that is either me learning something new, or it's something that's bringing my mindset into a good place, right? Many of you have heard my philosophy is anything that we coach and teach falls into the 4 pillars of mindset, motivation, skills, and action. So kind of the idea of, am I reading something that's helping me with my mindset, with my motivation, with my skills, or with my action, right? And this could be books on wealth. This could be books on self-help. This could be books on mindset. This could be spiritual books, whatever it might be. The idea is, or content, I say books, but content, is an idea that you're taking a few minutes in the morning to be able to do that. You want to use a daily devotional? That's a wonderful thing, right? It's a 1-pager. It makes it really easy. You can kind of think on it, meditate on it, and then move on with your day, just because it frames you in a great way. There's a couple books. There's The Daily Leader by John C. Maxwell, which is a wonderful book if you're looking for a daily devotional that's built on kind of just leadership and kind of his greatest hits. So it pulls some of the great lessons from all 4,000 of his books, or however many he's written, right? That's a wonderful one. There's The Daily Stoic, which is another one that a lot of people have found value in, again, going in daily and looking at some things that are there. It could be anything, but typically a self-help book, even quite often books that are built on personal finance, they typically fall in about 60 to 80,000 words. 80,000 words is roughly less than 300 pages. That's about 280, give or take. And so if you think, if I read 10 pages a day, and there are 30 days in a month, then I can read about 1 book a month. Now I know that there's a whole bunch of advertisement on like speed reading, or people who like to listen to an audiobook and they put it at like 3 times the level, so that it's faster words and that they can finish books faster. If the purpose was just getting to the end as quickly as possible, right, then the best orchestras in the world would be the fastest. And they're not. So understanding that that author has spent years, more often than not, researching and developing thoughts and sourcing information and really putting that in. And so we want to relish in that. We want to be able to savor the flavor that is a lot of the stuff that these authors are doing. There is, in my world, and this is no judgment, but in my world, I'm going into these tools to get what can I get out of it and what can I apply to it. It's not just checking a box of, I read 36 books this year. I've done that. I did that, right? Good to great. I have no idea what the book is about. And I've read it. I'm assuming it's talking about businesses that are good and then what it takes for them to be great. But I was so committed to speed reading that I couldn't even tell you what the hell the damn book's about, right? That's on my list of one to revisit this year and really sit with it. and be able to contemplate the book and what the author is talking about. So really, talking about 10 pages a day, I'm reading every day. That means that I read a book a month. Well, how different would your world be if you read 12 books? Now, you can read for fun, but this is talking about in the morning that you're reading, whether it's on personal finance, or it's on wealth building, or it's on productivity, or it's on maybe a memoir of someone that you admire because they've built some principles that you want to emulate, right? So very much I'm starting my day. I've sat with myself in silence and meditation. I have visualized the future that I'm working towards, right? The relationships that I want to have, all of those things. I'm having affirmations about my mindset, or about the things that surround me, or the people that are in my world to support me. I'm exercising, so I'm getting the blood flowing. I'm feeling good about myself because I'm moving in that right direction, and I know that I've not neglected my body. I'm reading, or I'm pouring in good information through YouTube or books or any of those things. And then the last one is scribing or journaling, right? Because the word savers wouldn't work. So savers is that last word being scribing or journaling. This is where it's an opportunity for you to reflect, right? Now, this is not for me to go, dear diary, Celeste was mean to me, right? This is not what that means in terms of scribing or journaling. This is, quite frankly, what are my intentions for the day? Maybe in the morning I'm saying, what are my intentions for the day? What are the things that I want to accomplish? What are the 2 or 3 things that if I do them today, I'm going to feel like that's going to have the biggest impact on my world? Or a book by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan, which is called The One Thing. What is the one thing such that by doing it makes everything else easy or irrelevant, or easy or unnecessary in my world? Right? So it's the one thing in my spiritual life that if I do that today, everything else is going to be easy or unnecessary. What's the one thing in my business today that if I do it, everything else is going to be easy or unnecessary? Right? So I'm looking at and setting those intentions in the morning. And then in the afternoon, maybe I'm journaling and reflecting, what did I accomplish? What were positive things that were accomplished? And maybe what are some of those things that I had set intentions that I'm going to move into the next day? Right? And so again, you can use some of these, you can use all of these. I think Hal has done a wonderful job of piecing these things together, really studying the art of the morning routine and putting it into something that is digestible, something that is nice and holistic, right? It has a bit of your mindset, it has a bit of your body. So mind, body, soul, we have a really great connection to a lot of those things. And all of these things happen before you start reacting to the world. Now, Michael, I don't have time. I have to get up. I've got kids to feed. I've got kids to take to school, all of the things. Any answer that you give me that is an excuse, and I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, excuse bullshit. But truly, anything that you tell me that is an excuse is just telling me why you are not a priority, right? And we understand that time blocking is the budget of your life or your time. And so one of the biggest elements of this is truly understanding that your morning routine, if it is a priority for you, you will make it a priority, right? If I need to wake up an hour before, so all of these things, affirmations, 2 minutes, silent meditation, 5 minutes, we're at 7 minutes so far. Visualizations, let's just give it 3 minutes so that I don't have to do odd math. So now we're at 10 minutes, right? So I've got 3 of the 6 are already done in 10 minutes. Right? Scribing, maybe the scribing element takes me 10 minutes. I'm now at 20 minutes. And then the reading, maybe the reading takes me 10 minutes if it's a daily devotional. Maybe it takes me 20 minutes if it's 10 pages, whatever it might be. So I'm somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes. And then if I'm doing stretching, that can be 10 minutes. If I'm doing exercising, that's an hour. So I'm saying that you could completely change the way that you have an outlook on life by adding 40 minutes to your morning. So if you wake up at 7, maybe you wake up at 6:15. Or if you need a moment just to do all those other things with the dogs and whatnot, maybe you get up at 6. But that hour earlier, or 2 hours earlier, could have an unbelievable impact. And now you've done all of these things for yourself, pouring into yourself before your day's even started, before anything else happens, before any fire starts to happen where you need to be a firefighter. Any of that is already accomplished for yourself before you do anything for the rest of the world, right? And so this is the concept of winning your morning, winning your day. That's your morning routine. You've now got people set up, and then now we move into our day in terms of productivity. So the kids are taken care of, the dogs are taken care of, I'm taken care of. Now, what are the highest income producing activities that I can do? And I'm going to make sure that those things are at the beginning of my day before I react and respond to my business to business or my business to client relationships. Okay? This is detailed in a blog that we'll make sure is out. Again, Shantae is going to be sharing that the guide for you in terms of morning routine and just mindset. But I would love to get some ahas from those of you that are on here before we end the day. I know that it is 9 a.m. Union reps are telling me I got less than about a minute, but I want to get some ahas from you. What from this do you want to adapt into your daily routine? What are some of these things that maybe are new to you that you want to explore? Any topics or guides or recommendations for books, any of those things that you'd like, please put them in the comment section. I or Shantae will get back to you, make sure that we have those things available and that we prepare for next week. But it is so important that we get some feedback because I want to make sure that this is resonating with you. So please go ahead and put those things in the comment section. I hope you have a wonderful day, have a wonderful Tuesday, and for those of you that only join me on Tuesday, I'll see you next week for our Conscious Conversations. And then those of you that are a part of our community, as a reminder, tomorrow we have the focus group in the morning, which is our mastermind, and then on Thursday, we have our Care Company course specifically for those people that are part of our coaching community, where we're focused on, we've now done client acquisition, we've done client retention, we are focused on the client experience this Thursday. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.